Hello out there, you wonderful people. This is Andre, the Game Idea Guy. Thank you once again for lending me your time and your ear, listening into another What If discussion from me. And this time it's going to be a little bit of a meta what if, because this one is a possibility that could happen, and it's not something that has predated my talking about it just yet. And that's because there's a game that's going to be coming out very soon called One Step for Eden that is in the closed beta right this moment, and I'm playing it, which is what you see on the screen. And I kind of ran a couple ideas by the developer way back when on Game Jolt, when they first kind of launched their demo and the Kickstarter was still going and was open for people to go ahead and, join in and support it. And One Step for Eden falls into the vein of a Mega Man styled game. It's like a successor to the Battle Network series, and I thoroughly enjoy it. The way it's currently set up is kind of fast-paced. Battles are one right on top of the other, which is actually pretty cool, and I like that. But for a possible sequel, which is what I'm going to be talking about right this moment, and even though the game hasn't actually fully launched, and I do see it doing very well, especially on the Nintendo Switch, I'm going to give some thoughts as to how I think that a sequel will go. How I think a sequel will go for this game. Oh gosh, I don't know why I got tongue-tied. But that aside, here's the first thing I'm going to go ahead and say. There would be an open world mode opened up for this game. Not very, I mean, it could be similar to what Battle Networks was, but I don't think that the creator for this game would want to completely clone Mega Man Battle Network. What I think they would probably want to do is have another type of, like a similar type of overworld possibly, or maybe even one that is very similar to like how games like The Legend of Zelda 2, or Zelda 2 because it wasn't called The Legend of Zelda 2, Zelda 2 and Castlevania 2 worked, where Castlevania 2 was just it was just opening up the world with platforming, and it didn't operate very well for a lot of people until you figured out like little kinks in the system. But Zelda 2 had the top-down overworld, and then when you were inside of like towns or you were in a battle, it switched to a 2D perspective, or like in like dungeons and stuff. So what I would think would be interesting to do would be to do the opposite of that, whereas you're in the world of the adventure part of the world is the 2D plane, and you're moving back and forth on that, and you know in and out of buildings and stuff like that. And then when combat happens, you're on the 16, or should I say, you're on the 4x4 grid? Yeah, the two 4x4 grids. So, like, that would work. I think that would work very well. That would swap the dynamic a little bit, and it'd be an interesting way to go about the game. And I think that having a mode like that, and then every character is being playable, where there's a general story arc that is shared among everyone, and then there are like little differences in their own particular plots, like certain things some characters will have to do that others wouldn't if they were willing to go that route. And use my own suggestions and ideas that I think would be very fitting for it. But it all really depends on how this first game actually ends, and trust me, the end boss in this beta is broken, like super broken. But that's once you get to Eden, and I don't know what the sequel to this would be called, but I do feel like this game would be successful enough to gain a sequel. So One Step from Eden, and then Lost in Eden. Just an idea for a name for the game if you're willing to take it. But there's a lot of stuff that can be done with it. Like, in the game is actually again pretty interesting. Like, where we could have the overworld is set up on the 2D plane, and you're going back and forth through towns, talking to people and stuff like that. And heck, even if they wanted to take it a third step, where you have an overworld map, and then in the town you're back and forth on the 2D plane talking. And then in combat, you're on the gridded setup. Like, that would all be cool. Like, I know that would require a lot more work, but that would make this game extremely unique as a sequel to what's already out. And you can always set it up to have like battle, like let's say take Final Fantasy VII for example, the original Final Fantasy VII, where you had the battle mode where you fought a bunch of characters in a row in that little arcade thing before Aerith dies. Yeah, they could set it up so that you can have little battle setups like that to train up your character or train up your characters, depending on how they want to set it up. They could set it up on a party system, or there's a lot of possibilities. A party system, in my eyes, would be playing the game very much like it already is, but take the Mega Man Battle Network example, where Mega Man can swap between his different forms. I think from Mega Man Battle Network 3 and forward. It might be 4 and forward. It's either 3 or 4 that you can do it in. But where you can swap forms in the middle of fighting. Instead of swapping forms, you're just swapping characters. And that would swap play styles. And that's essentially what was happening with Mega Man Battle Network, where you would switch Mega Man's form, he would swap to a different play style. Like, it wasn't too different, because you still had to operate the game the same way. But how you went about attacking and defending was different. That's all it is. Like, that's how I consider it. And that would be a good way to do it if you just want to keep one concurrent story and then have everybody have their own little side quests and stuff without having to, play different characters and be forced to play through the game over and over again. Though, with the quality that they're putting into this, I could see people wanting to do that anyway, because the game's probably likely to be that good. That's just one idea. Others I could see, where I talked about doing the Zelda 2 type adventure towns and stuff like that, and then having like the overworld be very much like what Battle Networks was. Like, if you're traveling between towns, you get the big world view, and then your character on the screen is a little sprite running across it. And then inside of a town, you switch to a 2D view with the characters, and then you can walk up to people and talk to them and stuff like that. Again, that would be cool in my eyes, and that would be up to the developer to do. I know that would take a lot of work, but I think it would be worth it, to be fully honest, and it would probably be something more immersive to draw more people in. Just my thought. Gosh, I would love to talk about that boss, but I don't want to spoil it for anybody, so I'm not going to. I'm pretty sure there's some people that have already done the playthrough and probably already beaten it. I have not, because like one-hit wonders, just one-hit wonders. Like, she takes you out pretty fast. But I could see playing through the game, like playing with like an older version of Saffron, going through what is Eden and people having found their way into it, I guess. But again, I don't really know the current story, and that's where a lot of this is conjecture on my part, and I'm just kind of throwing out thoughts that I think would be pretty cool. I mean, because you already have the card system like Battle Network, but this card system I feel is a little bit more advanced than that, because it feels a lot smoother, way smoother, and the game moves a lot smoother than Battle Network did. Where I would say Battle Network is pretty stiff in comparison. One Step from Eden is very kind of fluid, and it's actually it plays very smooth in comparison. And your character is far less anchored down, to be honest. Though I'm not certain, because I haven't played with everybody. I've only played with Saffron in the beta, and I've only played with her and Riva in the demo. And Riva was she wasn't stiff, but she wasn't as fast as Saffron is how I look at it. But let's see. Overall, I could see this being successful, and I want to say, like, I do believe that One Step from Eden is going to get a sequel. What that sequel is going to be is up to the creator. But I wanted to throw out my own ideas, and hopefully when they hear them, because I'm definitely going to link them to this video on Twitter, that it'd be something interesting for them to do. Because I know on Game Jolt, I asked about it like months ago if there would be like an overworld, and he was like, no, there's not going to really be one. And I'm like, hopefully for a sequel you'll consider it, because it would be a cool concept for this, especially with the creativity you've already shown in this game as it is. and having like the little missions happen inside the battles is pretty cool. So I like that concept. I think that's actually pretty interesting and a good way to go about it. Like, but adding in the overworld stuff would be cool too, because then you can take the character out and you can go ahead and find like little side quests. Then that can send you into certain particular areas where you have to find and battle a certain person or entity or something like that. Is something that I think would be beneficial in the long run for the sequel to this, and it would be really a really big thing to just go ahead and do. But that's completely up to the creator. Like, and I'm just the guy kind of sounding his thoughts out there because I really appreciate the styling of the game, because I've craved that format of gameplay for a while, and this is somebody who's fulfilling that. So as a fan of it, as well as a backer and supporter of it, I kind of want to see that this goes and becomes bigger, and that would be a pretty cool thing. But I don't have much more to add to this. You guys can sound off in the comments down below what you think, and you can give your impressions of the gameplay. I have 4 other videos on this channel for the closed beta of this game as it is, if you'd like to check them out. I'm probably going to put together a One Step from Eden playlist, because I don't have one, so I'm going to do that, so it has its own specific playlist on my channel. And I'm going to start doing more gameplay runs, and hopefully while I do those, there'll be ones that I'm actually talking over, so you guys can get my impressions of what's going on the screen as I'm playing it, instead of having all the silent runs. And hopefully when the game actually launches, I'll be able to sit down and do a full playthrough with every character for everybody to see it. But I don't really have much else to say, so thank you guys very much for listening. Keep your eyes and ears out for more stuff from me, and until the next time, enjoy your games. Peace out.